Welcome back to the Boks Office. My name is Jean de Villiers and I'm in the hot seat today because Shimmy has flown over to Australia for the massive game between South Africa and Australia. Now, he tries to make as if this job is really difficult. It is not. I am joined today by Roos and also former Springbok Robbie Fleck because Skalkberger decided that he has better things to do as well. So today, I will be the boss. There'll be less eating and more talking because the Boks Office is now open. Welcome guys, welcome back to the Boks Office. Obviously no shimmy, no skulk, and no win for you, Yvonne, the weekend.
I knew this was coming, yeah.
I even dressed in blue just for you.
That's so nice of you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Did you enjoy the weekend? Did you at least enjoy the festivities?
I did.
Yeah.
It was good seeing mates from school, having a few beers with them. That was fun. That's where it stopped.
So I know it's like a schoolboy game, but you mentioned in last week's show that you have Blue Monday in the lead up to the game. After a loss like that, you know, you're second biggest in the history of interschools, do you have a Blue Monday today as well?
No. No, it's blue, but not that kind of blue.
Okay.
Well done, John, really. Well done.
Thank you, I played so well.
Yeah.
I played so well in that game. Flecky, did you watch the schoolboy game?
No.
Didn't?
A bigger game, Weinberg versus Bishops.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so they do still play rugby.
We're still playing rugby. We lost, but much improved performance from the Bishops boys.
But it was a big weekend in the southern suburbs as well, because you had Sax Ronnebosch as well, right?
Sax Ronnebosch as well, yeah.
And the big Ronnebosch Bishops game, when is that? This
That's
weekend?
2 weeks.
2 weeks now.
Yeah.
That's the most important game, yeah.
And?
Yeah, let's see.
We're at Bishops,
No, Bishops is on the rise, slowly on the rise.
You're not sounding positive there, Rob.
No, look, it's...
I mean, if those boys were watching now, you know, would that be motivation for them?
Yeah, it is, because it was a much improved performance overall against Weinberg, and they're tough opposition, and then obviously we've got Sax this weekend, and then Ronnebosch, so it's we're looking forward to it.
So were you the coach of the Stormers when Evan scored that amazing try in interschools?
No.
When he was not?
I think you just finished. I think I was Tabo then.
No, I'm just checking.
Yeah, you were just trying to catch.
I was just trying to build it up and
pass the script.
No, that's not even on the script. You know, that just happened on the fly, and that's why I'm in the hot seat and not Shimmy. But it is spectacular, right? And I must say, to be part of that was pretty special. Now, speaking about schoolboy games, schoolboy players, and schools that produce big players, Great College is probably right up there. Certainly in the last number of years, you know, they've produced so many players, one of which was Kuni Westhuizen. Kuni Westhuizen announced his retirement from rugby over the weekend. You know, so he's finished, and I mean, that happens to all of us eventually, right, Shimmy? Flecky. But I mean, just you never. Did you
Actually, I had a
play against?
No, I played with Kuni
With Kuni.
2 games when I was still at the Sharks first year.
Oh, of course, yes.
And then he went over to Sale.
Yeah.
And we were like 4 or 5 guys in the institute of the Sharks, and we were not having the institute life anymore because there's a curfew and can't have girls over and can't drink beers and then we were like, let's move into a digs.
Yeah.
And Kuni is like, I'll rent this out for you guys cheap. Look after my house. And at 19, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So 4 of us moved into the house, and we had to look after his dogs as well. And yeah, you can just imagine how that went. I moved out after like 2 months because I couldn't do it anymore. It was disgusting.
He's quite a complex guy, old Kuni.
I was just, at that age, I was quite scared. Like, because I don't want to, if something happens to the dogs or the house, we are responsible. So after 2-3 months, I was like, this is not going to fly. I think I'm going to rather move out here. I not want to be held responsible and be at the back end of that when he gets back from England.
No, I must say he's like, I don't know, you never came across Cunha. He's obviously
Just coached against him when he
you
played.
just coached against him, yeah. But I mean, you know, obviously amazing ball carrier. But like, it's his way or the highway.
Really?
Like he's such a, if he doesn't like something, I reckon he must have walked out of team meetings with coaches. He's just like, no.
At all level, Springbok as well.
I'd never at Springbok level when I was involved. But some of the stories, even at the Cheetahs and whatever, he's like, he's quite a stubborn guy, but like an amazing guy in the same breath as well.
He looked after us, and we had a place to stay outside the stadium because we were getting quite irritated living there. So it helped. But yeah, you can just, and then the fifth guy also moved in after a month, and you can just imagine 5 19-year-olds in a house, freedom, away from home.
Any stories you want to share?
Yeah, a few glasses broken, first house party. The pool went to shambles after a week. The screen looks like fall down. What else happened? I think one dog got like half paralyzed, so they all ran out. And that's when I was like, okay, this is where Kuni's going to hold one of us responsible. I don't want to be one of them.
One of his dogs?
Yeah.
That must have been a nice conversation.
Yeah, and I know I'm saying it now because obviously the dog is probably still there, or they know it's paralyzed now, so it's not a secret anymore.
That's quite harsh.
Yeah, and
does Kuni know it's paralyzed?
Well, he must know now because the thing doesn't walk properly. So.
Yeah, but it's amazing that you tell that story and Flecky goes all quiet and shakes his head as if he never did anything like that when he was a young player.
No, definitely. None of that. Didn't look after other players' dogs, definitely.
You never did, yeah. Couldn't even look after your own dogs. I remember, the one game I remember, and we obviously want to preview the Wallaby game today, big game in Brisbane for the Boks. And actually when I heard the news that he retired, the one game that stands out is in 2013, we played in Brisbane. Kuni started for us, the Boks, and it's the only game that we've won in Brisbane, and I don't know how many years. And he scored the very first try. Came around the corner, bumped a couple of oaks, scored the try. Any players in your career, Flecky? Like who were the like the characters? Was it normally the front rowers? Were they the stubborn oaks or?
Very much so. John, I remember coming into the Western Province setup as a youngster, and there was Tommy Loubser, Gary Pagel, Tox van der Linde. These were the guys that were Keith Andrews.
Yeah.
They were the real characters of that side. And that was 97 when we won the Currie Cup for the first time, and I only played a handful of games. But those guys were really the key guys in that setup. In terms of leading the way, in terms of characters and odds and bits in the change room. So, front rowers have got something special about them, don't they?
They're just different, eh?
They're very different. They couldn't carry like Kuni could. He was a great carrier of the ball and dynamic prop. But, you can imagine a guy like Tommy Loubser. He was a special guy. Yeah. And, great for the change room.
The, speaking about props, and we don't have any tight 5 players on the bench here today or on the couch, but it's amazing how they've evolved. Front rows back, you think Tommy Loubser, one of the strongest scrummagers ever, but probably only, touched a rugby ball twice in his career. Whereas these days the guys are really skilled. And a guy like Kuni, amazing carrier, massive work rate, good scrummager as well, and they've just evolved into something totally new. Talking about new or old, well, however you want to see this, Ivan, lots of newspapers reporting you going under the knife for a shoulder injury and will miss the rest of the year's rugby.
Yes.
True or not?
True.
And you see it here first on the Boks Office.
Very, very true. Yeah, it's true. I have to sort it out. Sad, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself for 6 months. Dobbo's not happy. You can't bleep this out, whatever, how Dobbo is. But last night at 12, I got the message this morning. He just said, when's your op? I was like,
might have to delete that.
Yeah, sorry.
Why?
And I was like, morning, Dobbo. I hope you had a good weekend. And I had to give him all the facts and technicalities. But yeah, I have to. If the doctor said if I keep on playing with it, it's just going to cause much more problems in the long run. So yeah, I have to sacrifice these 6 months now and get it sorted. Also, it doesn't help I play with a niggle, or not even a niggle, like a proper injury, and I'm not playing to what I feel I can bring to the table.
You should actually blame Dobber, because he played you for 6 months with the injury, 3 years with the injury, yeah?
Yeah, no, I can't. No, it was bearable, but at a stage it just got so sore. I've never had a shoulder injury before, so I couldn't compare it to, okay, I know this is what it is, or it's the first time I've ever had this. So in the future, if I start feeling that again, then I know actually what's going on.
Flecky, you were the man who first made Siya captain at the Stormers. I can remember we had that conversation at his wedding. I don't know if you remember. We were standing at the bar, and you said, "I'm going to make him captain." What do you make of his rumoured move back to the Sharks after just one season in Paris? He was clearly not that happy there, and I think it had a massive effect on his whole family. And you understand that. He's a massive family person. Also, he's just so South African. Whenever I spoke to him, I said, you should never ever leave South Africa. But now, so it's going to, and this is all rumoured at this stage, but apparently it's going to cost 18 million rand to buy him out of his contract. Are we surprised to see, if that is the case, to invest that much into a player or not?
No, I think it's for SA Rugby to bring him back to South Africa is the right call.
Yeah.
He's a leader of our team and of the people. And, you could see in the beginning when he went to Paris, he was engaging with the fans, and he did a very good job, and there was something different that he was trying to create there. But I think with his focus on also coming back to South Africa, playing for South Africa, as you say, he's a family man. This is his roots. This is where he's comfortable. So for me, if he is coming back, it probably, I would have thought that he would have seen out another year. But, after a year now, he's coming back, and I think it's the right thing for South African rugby. Yeah. And for Siya, he's comfortable here. These are his people, and he leads by example on a day-to-day basis, and I'm sure his family is keen to get back here as well.
I'll get to you now, Ivan, just on that. But do you see Siya making it to the next World Cup?
I definitely do. Rassie's hinted about the captaincy and everything like that, but Siya's still got a crucial role. I think you've experienced in the past, with leaders that you've been part of, with John Schmidt and Percy Montgomery, these guys who are older statesmen in the sides, and whether he's captain. You just
compare Siya Kolisi and John Schmidt with Percy Montgomery.
No, what I'm saying is, Oosterrand came back under Jake White. Percy came back under Jake White.
The experience they bring.
John Smith, I think he came back through, I can't remember who.
Yeah, he was at Claremont, and then Peter de Villiers brought him back.
Correct.
Yeah.
And those are all good, smart decisions from those coaches to bring these guys back in, not just from a performance point of view between the four white lines. It's outside. It's in the change room that counts, and that's where I feel Siya still adds so much value. He had an unbelievable series against Ireland, so he's still performing.
Yeah, big time.
So that's not an issue. And if he could get back from an injury like he did so quickly, that means his body is still primed and ready to play at a higher level. And you need an experienced campaigner and a leader like that in our group to go for that third World Cup. I was actually thinking about what is Rassie's next challenge and this group's next challenge. It's obviously they want to win 3 World Cups in a row, but also that unbeaten tests, that's something that this team is certainly capable of doing with the experience that they've got and the youngsters that are coming through. And maybe, that's something that they're also talking about on the sideline.
Are you talking the 18
unbeaten run?
Oh, yeah.
Because there are new challenges for this team now, right?
True.
They've won the British and Irish Lions, they've won 2 World Cups. They've done well against the so-called number 1 side, in the world. What's their next challenge? And I would definitely be having those kind of conversations with the players, because there's a legacy that's been created with this group.
That's interesting. You speak about legacy. Ivan, Siya, to me, Siya is just, I've said it before, if he goes into an election as president of South Africa, he would probably become president of South Africa.
Most probably.
To have someone like him come back and be based in South Africa, and you having spent time with him now as a player, just his effect on people, it's just, something, is there just something so special about him that if he is there, the team is better?
Yeah, I think it's good that especially your national captain, to be in South Africa. I think he then has a direct effect on the country. If he needs to be somewhere with a SARU thing or whatever, he's there. And I think for whichever union he decides to go to, which is probably the Sharks, I think that for a union I know they're trying to rebuild, is going to be massive. I think they've got a lot of good players, and now with him also coming back, it's basically a Springbok side you play against in the weekend. But it's to touch on where you said the type of person he is, he's very down to earth, but just through that and how nice and the way he treats, from Coach Russ to someone who cleans the toilet, someone who looks after the team. He treats everyone all the same, and he always makes times for fans. And I've been with him where I feel so sorry for him because he can't go for a coffee, he can't just quickly walk into the mall to go buy something. It's crazy. And as soon as one person spots him, the whole place is on him, and he handles it so well. I think that's why he's a great, not one of the greatest captain we've ever had, because he handles those things not only on the field but off the field as well, and he delegates well. I've obviously been with him in the team. He doesn't try and run everything. He has his seniors, I don't want to say seniors, but his partners in the team, his leadership group that help him in certain points. And I think to delegate like that is also a great sign of leadership, and he's incredibly well in that.
No, he's an amazing ambassador, and also he's sincere.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a show. You know, I always tell people, if you haven't met Siya before, you know what you see is actually exactly what the person is like. So
he's happy to make mistakes in his leadership as well, which is a great leader.
And he's open about it, and not just in his life.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a great lesson to be learned about that.
I'm surprised though that he's going back to the Sharks. If that is the I mean, I understand there might be some, business connections or whatever the case may be to go to the Sharks. Why he originally went there. But I would have thought that his comfort and his home, I would have thought, is Cape Town.
Yeah.
And that's where he started his career, and his family's from here. So I would have thought that he would come back here, but maybe even
I hope so.
Had to say that he wasn't.
No, I would love him to
did you vote against Siya coming back to the Storm?
So
that's the rumor.
For a vote.
That's the rumor. You've just said that.
I'm Dobbo's right-hand man now, so I can't have Siya come in.
Guys, Boks versus Wallabies. Let's preview the next 2 weekends' games. Okay, we have the 2 games in Australia. A couple of weeks ago, we said that you guys weren't here, but myself, Skulk, and Shimmy said that Australia probably does not even make the top. Well, we said they don't make the top 6 teams in the world. And I think they're
7th or 8th now.
Yeah, maybe even further down.
Oh.
But the Boks have only won 1 out of their last 8 matches in Australia, and 1 out of 13 in Brisbane. So do we feel it's going to be tougher than we think in Australia? There needs to be some value in the fact that we have not won in Brisbane for such a long period of time. 13 test matches over how many years? And the only time that we could win there was when I was captain.
I knew you were going to bring it up.
In 2013, that was actually one of our best games we played. But I mean, it's just one of those places where we struggle to win.
But I think it's like any away team. People who come play the Boks at Loftus, Ellis Park, it's tough to win there. I think it's the same effect there. And they're also on a good, I think they were 3 out of 3 in their previous 2 tests against Wales and Georgia. And so they're on a good run. And Joe Schmidt looks like he's doing a good job kind of rebuilding into Australian rugby. So, it's not going to be easy. It's obviously going to be tough.
But I mean, Rob, you look at the World Cup performances, and yes, Joe Schmidt coming in, it's a change. But I mean, it's against Wales, 2 test matches. We smashed.
I played there, come on.
Yes, you did. you almost scored that try. You should have just gone.
Should have. But we scored afterwards. So.
But I mean, the way in which we won that game, and then they played Georgia, and again, Georgia put up a proper fight against Australia.
Yeah, Jean, I think that they are through obviously a rebuilding phase, and there's not a huge amount of depth that's coming through. There are 1 or 2 stars that could come out of this group, There's some youngsters that that can play, but they're not a settled unit. Joe Schmidt, we all know, is an outstanding rugby coach, a hell of a tactician, very, very smart, hard. I had a long chat to Johnny Sexton when I went over to Leinster to go, do some coaching there, he had only the highest praise for Joe Schmidt as a coach. Highly rated coach and hard, and that's probably what Australia needed. They needed somebody to give them a bit of clarity, simplify the game plan, but give them confidence, in their own ability. And he's going back to the roots of what Australian rugby is all about, and it's about pace and skill, and which is great. It's exciting stuff. And Joe Schmidt showed his quality when he jumped into that All Black camp, pre-World Cup, and there certainly was a different dynamic when they came to the World Cup as opposed to the previous games we had played against them. So very, very smart guy, understands South African rugby, probably knows South African players better than his own players at the moment. The history behind Brisbane, well, it's a tough place. I've been there. It's winter there now, but it's still hot and humid and whatever, playing the game of rugby there. And it's never been easy to play there. I've gone there with strong Springbok sides, but back in the day, Australia were, world champions and very strong. And it was, I remember getting pumped there by Australia.
Yeah.
And so most South African sides have struggled, gone there with strong teams, but Australia have always been competitive. This Australian side, they're not quite what they were of the old, as you say, rebuilding. Will they test the Springboks? Maybe, first 20, 30 minutes, but I can't see them really challenging us. Our pack is just too strong. Our game plan is solid. Tony Brown has brought in extra dynamic in terms of the way we want to attack. It's making us less predictable in the way we go about things. The South African side is growing. It was a tough series against Ireland, who are a hell of a quality side, a world-class side, with a world-class coaching unit. And we came through. And I think we're going to go down there and we'll win both games. And there will be a bit of a fight from the Aussies, but we'll come back, with both wins.
Because, there's a bit of magic with Joe Schmidt.
Definitely.
It's almost as if he was also the guy who changed Irish rugby around. When he took over. I've spoken to Paul O'Connell a lot as well about, or let me rather say, Paul O'Connell has spoken a lot about the impact of Joe Schmidt when he took over at Ireland. He's so technical.
Attention to detail.
And he gets it right. You mentioned with the All Blacks, and that is exactly what Australian rugby needs. When you grew up, Ivan, obviously we played a totally different generation, but was Australian rugby for you one of the teams that you look up to? Or?
Yeah, watching Tri Nations when I was younger, and then you got Matt Gitzo and them, James O'Connor came through. It was like a rugby to watch, and it was like legends playing. George Gregan and them, all those. So it would be awesome to see Australian rugby go back to what they're good at. Like when Rassie took over from the Springboks, we went back to what we are good at, and that works because you work with South African players. Joe's going to be working with Australian players. Stick to what they know and what they do well. And because if you trying to mimic other teams and the way they play, or other countries and how they play, that usually doesn't work. Like we tried one team at a time, wanting to play like the All Blacks. It doesn't work because it's not in our DNA. Sticking to what's in your DNA and how you know and how you grew up playing the game is the best way, I think, to coach a national side.
Yeah, and you're spot on, Evan. It's about smart rugby. That's the Aussies have always been smart. They've been trendsetters in a high-paced skill game, and technically always been very good. And he's the perfect coach for that. And he'll make them a smarter team. They're not going to be the most physical team, but they're going to work space out in other ways, which makes them dangerous. But it's still a little bit too early for the top results to come their way. He needs another good 6 months with them, developing them, and finding quality halfbacks and who can run the game for him.
Because you can have the venue, you can have the coach, but you need all the ingredients. You need the players as well. And it just seems to me that if we select a Boks team now, we select an Australian team, it's just so difficult, with all these other things that's not in our favour, to see us not winning that game. But should we be worried? Because I'm worried.
No,
I don't think.
Especially I've got no doubt we'll win in Perth. But just for the Brisbane game, because of that Brisbane bogey, nothing to worry about.
No, very confident in this team and in the management and you know, Rassie, he's going to be talking about the fact that we haven't won there for a while. He plans his week will be building up to it. So psychologically, the player and mentally, the players are going to be on point.
Obviously, yeah.
And we've got the game plan, you know, now. I think the way we're going to put the Aussies under pressure because we can get our forwards running onto their backs, our backs running onto their forwards. We're a difficult team to play nowadays.
Yeah,
it's a good opportunity to get that monkey off the back, the Brisbane monkey off the back.
Exactly.
I think I would motivate the team like that. Say, listen, let's change this around. Let's not let this Brisbane hoodoo still irritate us. Let's put in a proper performance. And I think it's a big build-up. I think Dracus is also fighting the same day against Adesanya.
No, that's next week.
Is it the week after?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But thank you for putting in time to prepare for this game. And
so luckily, same 2 weeks though.
No, that's only next weekend in Perth. And that's a totally different story as well, which we won't touch on now. But next week, do tune in and we're going to cover a lot about that. Who has impressed you in the Wallaby team? Are the guys, standout guys? It's difficult.
Fraser McBride.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good rugby.
You just go straight for the flankers.
Is he not injured?
Because that's what I look at when I...
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he
forwards.
is. Yeah, I obviously look at other
He's been good.
forwards.
The captain's not too bad,
Yeah.
but he's also injured. Liam Wright,
Is he also injured?
he's also injured.
Maybe because he was...
You should do some research before you host the show.
No, because he was injured for the Georgia game, but is he injured for this game?
Apparently, yeah.
Injured as well.
Yeah.
Rob Valentini is one player that everyone
Plays
says,
nicely.
okay, he's the kind of guy that could be part of the conversation for making a world team. Big carrier, stopping power, etc. But besides him, anyone else? Taniela Tupou, will he be
The prop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't lot.
Will he be able to go 80 minutes? Will he be able to, is he a strong enough scrummager to really make a dent in the South African scrum, or will we just, tire him out so much that he doesn't have the ability to carry ball or anything like that?
He's on his own.
Yeah, I think he's a good player and a good scrummager for me, but you need both sides of the scrum to operate.
Yeah.
You can't just have one. And the hooker also has to be in sync with these two props.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be a good scrum battle to watch, definitely. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and from an attacking point of view, Rob, you mentioned that in the past that Australia, they played amazing rugby.
Yeah.
They were also sometimes the most difficult to defend against because they had the ability, like our Ireland now, they had the ability to isolate you and then gooi players, 2-3 attackers on one defender. You have to make a decision, and that was difficult. But it doesn't seem to me that they know yet who their best fly-off is, and that's kind of critical to where you want to go. Is it Donaldson? Is it the young Leinach? Is it Lolesio? Does that impact the way that you actually attack?
Absolutely, and the spine. They don't know that 9, that 10, that 12, or that 15. I guess they're settling on the 15 now.
Yeah.
But I mean, is he? Are these guys going to put us under real pressure at the moment? You think about the great Aussie sides.
Yeah.
It's Gregan and Larkham. It's it's Horan and Herbert. It's Burke at the back, Ben Tune, Joe Roff. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, it was their backs that really put them to the top of the world.
Yeah.
Have they consistently brought up youngsters now to follow suit of those great Wallaby teams? No, not yet. And I guess the game is under pressure there through the other sports. But I mean, that's why Joe Schmidt is there. It's now to galvanise everyone, get the grassroots going, and produce some of these quality players. And he can coach them. But like you say, they just don't have it yet. They don't have that settled side. They don't have those dynamic duos or those combinations that worked successfully in the past. And can they match the Springbok type 5? I mean, there's no chance at the moment.
I train against them now for a few weeks. It's tough. It's really physically tough. If you're not playing, you're part of the non-playing squad. Like, it's really like you can feel the power and the physicality of the team, and it's tough playing against those, like, to compete, especially if you're a young team.
Yeah, and for me, it's a tight 5, but also your kind of the guys with X factor. You mentioned so many of those names. now you look at them. Tom Wright at fullback, he's been good. He scored
He
amazing.
has played well.
That one try really well, but it's then we have Cheslin and Kirtley so it's difficult to see them matching up. Interesting though, Joe Schmidt believes that the new trial laws in this championship is designed to speed up the game. So the 30-second shot clock for setting scrums, and this will dampen the impact of the Boks bomb squad. Do you think that will be the case? In other words, he is saying that, okay, our bomb squad won't have an effect and we won't be able to the fact that they will quicken up the game, fasten up the game, will have an effect on the way that we play. I reckon we as fit and as mobile as any team in world rugby.
Correct.
Yeah, I can personally tell you, it's training is really tough, and the emphasis on being a fit physical team is there.
Yeah.
So, and I don't understand completely what he means, that the shot clock and that will dampen our bomb squad. You guys, as you know, when the bomb squad comes on, you can see it and they can feel it. So.
Let's quickly touch on that. Do you think we'll see the 6-2 split, or will we go back to the 5-3 with the players we have? We don't have the depth at traditionally it was like, okay, Eben and Lewitt starts and you bring on Ergia and Franco and the front rowers, and then you have a loose forward. Do we have the depth with all the injuries we've had, et cetera, to be able to do that, or will we go back 5-3?
Yeah, so the question is, can you replace another starting pack basically from the bench?
Yes, with the same quality.
Yeah, I guess we're not there because of the injuries or whatever the case may be. So it would make sense to go back to a 5-3 split. But if the coaches believe that this is our model and this is the way this is what the team believes in, then they may continue with the 6-2 split.
Yeah.
But like you say, the whole philosophy behind it is you replacing a starting pack with another starting pack.
Yeah. And that leads me to the next question. How have you seen the attack change under Tony Brown? Okay, Flecky. But also, if we go back to the 5-3, does that put us in a position then where you start with a Pollard, but you have Mani Libbok on the bench, where with a 6-2, normally we don't have that.
Yeah.
You have probably a Sasha, where he's done fantastically well. But I just feel with Andre and Mani, you have two totally different players. And what Mani can do, let's say with a tiring pack of the opposition the last 20 minutes, with the way that we want to attack now, that could be
deadly.
Big for us.
You should be a coach. I think it's. I think you're spot on. I think if the philosophy is now to play a little bit more expensive, because it definitely was against Ireland, especially in that first test. You can see the Tony Brown touches coming through. They're playing with a lot more width, and getting it to the edge a lot earlier, keeping Peter Steph in that edge there and looking to offload it. It was wonderful to see, and it's quite refreshing to see a Springbok, team play like that. We've always had the counter-attacking ability, and that was brought in before the World Cup, so with Kirtley and Cheslin and Villiers at the back there. And obviously Villiers was missed in that second test when he went off. But the attacking prowess of South African rugby is growing, and the ability and confidence to do that. So it would make sense to go on a 5-3 split, because then you can bring on Libbok, whose general game is outstanding.
Really good, yeah.
Take out his kicking. I mean, it's that's always been the focus from outsiders. But if you analyse his game, he's an outstanding distributor of the ball. He attacks the line. His attacking kicking game is excellent. Yeah. So he brings a completely different dynamic. So I would buy into that philosophy wholeheartedly, especially with the way the Springboks are moving in terms of their game.
Yeah. Evan, you having been on the pitch with both like a Mani and a Andre and a Villy, just do they, and especially with Mani and Villy, do because I think that those two are probably two of our best attackers, being able to identify space and getting the ball into space. Do you see it that way as well, as a teammate with them, that they are able to identify those space and put you into the space, and that you actually react differently to them?
It is so, like if I know, especially with Mani playing with them at the Stormers, and now at the Boks as well, and with Villiers as well, it's not as much. You must just make sure you put yourself in a possible space to receive the ball. Yeah. Because they're going to do their thing, they're going to work their magic. You just make sure you put yourself in the right spot, and I usually communicate with them. It says, listen, they're going to kick back on us and we're countering. Where do you want me? Do you want me to go straight edge? You want me to stay in the middle with you? Must I offer a line? Must I keep my depth? All those things, and they're very good, especially Mani is very good in communicating that, and Mani knows exactly what he wants. And he'll tell you, and he'll tell the coaches, listen, this is what I want from what you call it, a box kick counter. This is one from a long driver counter. This is exactly where I want guys running, and kind of the shape you want to get into after that. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that aspect of attacking rugby and taking it to the line. And Mani does that brilliantly.
Yeah.
And that kind of rugby, and I think Tony's really brought that in, playing it on the line in their faces. And then it starts getting quick, and then it's really fun playing that kind of rugby.
And he does that naturally.
Yeah.
He's just on the front foot, close to the advantage line, little short passes up the
back
back.
And forwards, it makes it easy.
Yeah.
And I promise you, Mani loves playing off that.
But isn't it great to see that now the Springboks have got a plan B?
Yeah.
You know, we've always been put
we've
in a
got
box
variety.
and say this is all this is how we are, and we just kick and defend. But that's not the case anymore.
Now we can attack properly.
And do you reckon that that's going to be the strength of this team going forward, going into the next World Cup, having Tony Brown there and the team becoming more confident in playing that type of attacking game? Because I suppose and even in that second test match, and yes, Villiers was off, and I think we lost a lot of our attacking power from him not being there. Even though Sasha gave us the best kind of attacking moments with his runs, but individual runs, do you think that it'll become our second nature, that if we are put under pressure, that we will still revert back to going into the wider channels because we are confident in doing it? We know we've got the skill set.
Look, I think that
because a lot of time we just go conservative.
Yeah. Well, so you think about Rassie's preps in the previous World Cups. His first one was. I remember him coming to chat to us as Stormers coaches, and the whole preparation was about where do we get the most penalties and which part of the field, and how do we get those penalties? Because he, from his, you know what he's like. I mean, he studies everything. His research is outstanding, and he knew that he was going to win the World Cup on penalties. They landed up playing against England, and they actually played. They would get a penalty and play penalty advantage. That's the only time they really attacked, and they're only sort of attacking. At the end of the game against England, they started to open it up, but they just were brutal against England in that final. Then this World Cup that we've just won now, he brought an element of the counter-attack, the turnover attack into the game, selecting those type of players, hard-working wingers. So he's always brought something different to each World Cup, and he's done his research still based on the Springboks, DNA of a strong set piece, big runners, strong defence. So what is the third World Cup going to be about? And there has to be a different dynamic that we're going to have to follow. We can't just, because eventually Ireland did work us out. The All Blacks nearly did work us out, on just a kicking game with massive defence and set piece. They can nullify the set piece at times if they get their selections right and their tactics right. So we have to bring something different. And that is why I think it's a stroke of genius from Rassie and SA Rugby to bring in a Tony Brown, because it brings in a different dynamic, but it also caters to the likes of Kirtley Oranser, Chesney Colby, Willie LaRue, and there's so many of those types of players in South Africa at the moment that are just coming through the ranks that we can just look after them and give the boys confidence to play this style of rugby, that we can play both, because now we've got a plan B and maybe even a plan C.
Yeah. Have you kind of thought, Ivan, that you need to adapt your game a little bit differently now to the way that the Boks want to play, or was it quite natural for you from coming from the Stormers and maybe having a little bit more freedom there with ball in hand as well, or do you just go about your stuff?
I just go about my things. I know it's a bit different than the Stormers, but I accept it. Like it's not an ego thing for me. Whatever Tony and Rassie and them need from me, I will do that for them at the Boks. But it is very more familiar than it was previous years for me. Slotting in, playing the way that I played the Stormers, almost felt quite natural coming in on the Boks, playing the same way. And I enjoy that. And what you guys mentioned before, for the next World Cup, I think all these, like the previous World Cup, we had that defensive and kicking game sorted. Now this previous World Cup, we had the counter-attack and all that sorted. Now we're getting our normal attack sorted, but we have all those things covered. So we can revert to, if this is not working on the field, we make a plan. Listen, we go back to this, and that works for us. But we're good in all facets of that because we've rounded our game off these previous years. And I think that's going to be vital on the next World Cup. So we have all those things sorted and we can revert to any plan we need to because we've been doing it for these past 6, 7, 8 years.
I agree.
Are there any players in the Australia team that you would not want to come up against?
In terms of
A rugby game?
just
Yeah.
physical contact.
Yeah. Guys that scare you.
I'm not scared of people. I won't show why.
Even if
shy
they
away from
even if they wear red, green and yellow.
I was never scared for them, especially not in my year.
No. Okay.
But
That was just a question. Yeah, I thought I would ask.
I'm scared of that red, green and yellow.
It was a question, on my card, so I thought I would
I'll
ask
be
it.
wary of a few guys, but I'll never be scared.
Yeah.
Put it like that. Tupo's a big boy. Like I'll be
Yes.
wary, but I'll never shy away.
He's like a difficult, uncomfortable size, because
Yeah.
because it's that big, short, stocky
Well,
you
he
don't
He doesn't run in our channel. He runs in Evan's channel, not our channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll stand on the wing. What were your worst Brisbane experience?
Worst?
Yeah. How many did you played the Wallabies in Brisbane?
Yeah. I think I played one.
Or
or two.
what's your worst Brisbane experience for the Springboks? Games that you played in or not?
No, I
Can you
played
recall
there.
any or
Played there. It was my birthday during the week. I remember we went out for a few beers on the Wednesday, and we played the test match on the Saturday, and the Aussies were on fire. And it was my first time I'd played at 12. So I was usually, at 13 and from a defensive point of view.
Yeah.
And I was corner flagging because they were just taking us from side to side.
Running shuttles.
So just running shuttles. Anyway, I land about 10 minutes in the second half just puking under the poles.
No way.
They've just scored another try. And I'm just chundering and I just can't recover and I can't drop my heart rates and everything. And I'll just go, I'm out, I've got to go. So then they sub me anyway. Spend the whole day, night recovering, whatever. And I remember Nick Mallor coming up to me the next morning and goes, Fleck, did you go out the night before the test or did you go out on the Wednesday for your beers? I said, no. Nick, I promise you, I was on the Wednesday, but the beers had nothing to do with me chundering under the poles. But they were phenomenal. They took us, Tim Horan, these guys were just...
No, they were next level.
Next level. And they had us, and Springbok rugby at
What was that,
stage.
99?
That was either 99 or
2000,
2000, yeah.
yeah.
It was one of those two, yeah.
Ivan, do you recall any games that you remember South Africa playing, might not even have been Brisbane, that you did not like watching?
I just remember the whole Bryce Lawrence debacle. That's all.
Thank you for bringing that up. That was the
That's the
quarterfinal.
biggest-
Yeah.
Was that in Brisbane?
That wasn't in Brisbane. No, that was just the quarterfinal of the World Cup.
Yeah, I remember that big
2011
Yeah,
quarterfinal.
I remember that. When I think about Australia, South Africa, that's the first thing that pops into my mind.
Keep thinking about that, Flecky, whilst I tell this story about World Cups and Australia.
Yes.
So I wasn't part of this test match, but in 2006, so luckily I got injured again, broke my ribs against Scotland in Durban, and then missed the first couple of games of Tri-Nations back then in 2006. And we played Australia, lost 49-0. That was Brisbane. And it was the same thing, like Gito on fire.
Yeah. When they're on a roll.
They were just, how many? Yeah, Gito scored quite a few. I mean, they were just, 49-0 against a team that won the World Cup the following year. And I think that'll go down as kind of the worst result that South Africa's ever had against Australia. But that semi-final, 99 World Cup, drop goal against Australia, extra time. Do you still wake up every now and then thinking, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, sometimes, when you're having beers with mates, they'll, chat about it. Look, that game was a phenomenal game of rugby. I mean, it was... They were a quality outfit. We were a side that was struggling with form, but we were starting to gain some form. We just beat England in the quarterfinals with Yanni de Beer's drop goals, and we went in with a similar game plan. It was pouring with rain. And we actually started to really dominate that game. You know, early on they were getting line break after line break, and they were hurting us. But then we clawed our way back in, and just out of nowhere, you know, it was torrential. And I remember Nathan Gray had come off the bench, and he had done the first carry, and Henry Honeyball had just also come off the bench, and he ran in between Lem and I think you know and Peter Miller, and he got a bit of yardage, and then you just see this guy sitting back in the pocket, and you go, never. I remember Rassie just sprinting to try and go and, you know, charge him down, and he hoofed that thing over. I mean, look, it was an incredible feat by him, and that team was a world-class side. But it was extra time. It was the hardest game I've ever played. You know, it was because in those days the Aussies had some mean forwards as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a huge battle up front and these classy backs. But brilliant game of rugby. I can't say it was a nightmare for us. You know,
Yeah.
it was an amazing game of rugby, and the people who watched it, you know, it was a special time.
My phone's just ringing. I'm just going to... No, it's not my wife, so I'm not going to take it. I mean, it is what it is, right? I think if you had played badly that game and you lost,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, then it would keep you up at night. But the fact that you guys, it was an amazing game. Predictions, guys. South Africa versus Australia, Brisbane. Prediction, Ivan? We winning, we losing? What's the margin?
Winning with 15.
5-0?
15.
1-5. Okay.
50.
South Africa winning by 15.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair shot. You know, I think there will be a bit of fight from the Aussies, but 15 plus.
15 points. We'll take that anytime. All Blacks versus Argentina.
No, I
Where?
have to go. Yeah.
It's in New Zealand.
No. All Blacks at least 20, 25.
I think it's in New Zealand. It's in New Zealand or Argentina.
This All Black side is still growing. You know, for me, they're not quite there. Look, England were good, and they put the All Blacks under pressure. But I still feel this All Black side hasn't found its rhythm. But yes, they'll win if it's at home.
Lost Scott Barrett now to a finger injury, so Artie is captain now. I read this morning. So
Thank you very much
I did
for
prepare
that
actually.
research. Thanks, yeah, man.
see,
And the game is in New Zealand.
thank you.
Just-
Oh, is
yeah,
it now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Great.
It is in New Zealand. So, as All Blacks by
I'm going 20.
20 points.
Yeah, I'd say about maybe 15 as well.
Okay, well, going for All Blacks win, then probably a bonus point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay, cool. Now, guys, sometimes the fine lines come down to the dark arts. And what's this word? Shithousery in a match. And that's where we're going to finish up today by reacting to two of the greatest dark art moments which took place in the final in our box office replay. So I'm going to show you two videos, and then we're going to react to it.
Perfect.
Okay. So just come have a look here. The first one is Andre Pollard. Oopsie.
Wrong video.
I hate it if someone did that to my doing.
Yeah.
Now, is that a dark art?
That's
No.
proper shithousery.
Yeah.
Proper,
Is that just getting rid of the mess on the field?
proper
it's a boot.
shithousery, yeah.
Did you ever do anything like that?
No.
Not you, never.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
no,
any
never.
comments about that? Nothing?
No, just shithousery.
If
Proper.
that happens, it happens. But you see a lot, like especially the forwards with the headgear ripping, you know, the
someone
more.
throws it, and then just throw it away.
Yeah.
Seen it at school games a lot. I remember at one of my school games, someone just took my boot and threw it into the crowd. And it takes a while to, especially if it's the away crowd, that takes a while to get back.
Okay. Thank you. That's fantastic
It's your
content,
Paul
guys.
Jim thing, that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
really good content. Here's the next one. Just come closer. Come closer. No, this is better. World Cup final. Check Peter Steve. Nice scream from
Yeah,
Aaron
no.
Schmidt.
That's, sounds like my sister screaming. Yeah, that's all within good
Dark
reason.
arts.
Dark arts, yeah.
Huh? Would you have done that as well?
No, I remember, I think playing against RG. Either it was the final or one of the round games in last season, or season before. I got cleaned or he tackled me or something, but he kept on line on me. And he is I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I think he is about 130 kilograms. So it's,
Who, Erge?
yeah, so it is a bit of a weight, and he was laughing at me while he was doing it. But we know each other, obviously, but I think that falls under dark arts, guys keeping you in the ruck.
Yeah.
All those. I think the front row are more, how can I say, smarter in terms of dark arts. The guys with experience have been there a while, know how to bind or move their head or place their shoulder to someone who's a bit more less experienced.
It is something that Australia is normally pretty good at.
No, they're very good at it. I was
Yeah.
about to say, the Kiwis and the Aussies are probably the best at it. I mean, when I played, it probably wasn't as obvious as that, but there's certainly dark arts in every game of rugby that you play. But the holding the back, the support lines, cutting off your defensive lines, all those smart little, things that they do to create space for their teammates. It's smart rugby. I mean,
Yeah.
if you get caught, I think it should be penalised straight
Yeah.
away, because it gets a bit frustrating at the end of the day.
No, it does.
But it's certainly part and parcel of the game.
Yeah.
And it should always remain part and parcel of the game.
Okay, guys, now one part of the game that you're not involved with, but that I'm going to ask you now is to select the best team for South Africa to start the test match. Who are you going with? Front row?
Go with Evan first.
Ox and Chair?
Ox,
Bongi?
Bongi, because Malcolm's coming back now, and
France?
Yibben.
Do you start with Erge?
I think I'll start with RG. Rowan is an amazing player, but I think just RG got good minutes throughout the Irish series and the Portugal game. I think RG will start at 5. Siya will go at 6.
Is he a starting player, though?
Oh,
Eh?
I-
I agree with all your selections.
yeah.
I think maybe.
Well,
that's
we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
I think
I think he's great off the bench.
he is great off the bench. And so is Kwacha. So that begs the question. So we'll go Siya 6, Peter Steph 7. Do you
Then
start
it's-
with Kwacha again?
It's going to be between him and Aurich. That's obvious.
Yeah, I'll start with Kwacha again. And I'm still of the view. People say, Kwacha's not a starter. And the same question for Erge, is he a starter or not? I just think if there's value in a player, he can do that from the start.
Yeah.
Yes, the impact might be different when he comes on later, but if there's quality, there's quality.
The thing is, they still have that impact. It's just not as, you can't see it as properly because they don't come off playing against guys who are tired. They are doing the role now of tiring out the other team starting 15, and then the guys who are on the bomb squad now will come up and fulfill those roles. But they still have the same impact.
Or
I
is it?
certainly hear you on Kwaka, but
Yeah.
I question Eke in terms of just his work rate. And obviously Russie's got the battle stats to say that he is a starting player. But I think he's more of an impact player.
So is it building depth and starting with Ruan Okia?
Yeah, I would look to
Build depth for World Cup 2027. Third player that can call your lineouts for you. If there's no Luit, if there's no Franco.
100%.
Okay,
Not a bad shout. And then 9,
9.
I think I'll go with Kobus. Start. And then 10, go Handre. 11, Jay-Z. 12, Dukes. JC 13, Kurtley 14, and then I'll go Villiers 15.
Same.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
nine
Grant.
becomes the big conversation. Who do?
I thought Grant Williams was quite good.
He is
Yeah.
amazing for me. I just think maybe first game because of the Brisbane hoodoo, just stick with your guns, and then if we can, which I'm sure we will win that game, then we can give guys a chance second game. I would love to see Krappies again play. He's amazing for me.
Who?
Krappies. Morne. Van den Berg.
Oh, Krappies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I was lost there as well.
No, I didn't know who he
I
was
don't know
speaking
his
about. Yeah.
nickname, Krappies.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Nickname Krappies.
Where does that come from?
I think when he runs, he looks like a crab running
Oh.
sideways. And he picks up on the
Quite
base.
short, eh? But the depth at 9 at the moment, if you think Faf, Grant, Kobus, Jaden, Morne, Herschel, Nohamba,
Yeah.
Emrose Papier,
Yes, and the 20 scrum off is very, very good. Assad Moyes.
Oh, yes. There
As
is
you
he
say,
Bishop,
Clint? No, Weinberg.
Weinberg, yeah. A good player.
No, he's a very good player.
Guys, thank you very much. Thanks for joining me in the box office.
Thank you, John.
Jean, you were very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Do you think that I was better than Shimmy? Guys,
Much
Give
better.
me Shim a run for
thank you
money,
very
bro.
much. Yeah, you go on. You can
Let's-
add more
let's
to
not
that.
Really want inter-schools. Don't rub it in.
Okay.
At least you don't eat all the sweets like he does.
Well, there we have it, guys. Thanks for joining us, Evan and Flecky. That's our preview for South Africa versus the Wallabies in Brisbane, the Brisbane Hoodoo. Will that continue or not? We feel that South Africa's got a fantastic chance to win that game. Shimmy will be over there to do the game for Super Sport. He will probably come back a couple of kgs overweight, but we shall see when we get him back on camera, because for now, the box office is closed.